Alright, so as we did talk about in a prior video earlier this week, I am going on a trip on the weekend, so we're not going to be doing a post-game video for the Canucks and the Flyers. We might not be able to squeak in Canucks Nashville because they do play later on Tuesday. That's actually when I'm going to be back, so I'm not really too sure how the video scheduling is going to work. All I know is that on Sunday and Monday we've got one video on the day each, just so I can continue the streak of uploading every day for... oh boy, it's been like 2 years now, something like that. Videos for 700 plus straight days on YouTube. That's kind of wild when I really think about it, but today, because we have a little bit of a break, I've kind of got myself a vacation, I wanted to leave you with a video topic that I've been wanting to explore for weeks now. Let's go over the new #1 prospect in the Vancouver Canucks system, a guy whose name has floated around the hockey world for years, some for good reasons, others for bad reasons, but now because he is the top player the Vancouver Canucks have on their U22 core. Let's head over to the 2021 NHL Entry Draft and talk about a guy that was supposed to be first overall, Aatu Raty. Now, we've made so many videos about this guy back when he was an Islanders prospect. We talked about how he was an early steal, how he was improving and doing well in the AHL and all this stuff. There was so much to talk about with Aatu Raty, and even before he was drafted, we made the Why I Want video going over this guy. We talked about how he was supposed to be first overall, and all the things that happened between 2020 and 2021 that led to him slipping from the first overall projected pick all the way down to number 52. And I'm not gonna lie, I love a good comeback story. I love seeing guys defy all the odds. They're good, and then they're bad, and then they're good again, and this is sort of the story that you're seeing here with Aatu Raty, and it's partly why I'm so happy to be seeing him doing what he's doing right now. In my opinion, he is the best Vancouver Canucks prospect. He had been the best Vancouver Canucks prospect from the minute the Bo Horvat trade was made. Sorry, Jonathan Lekkerimaki, but we're going to be talking about Raty in this one, and I guess there's a little bit of a conversation to go over when it comes to Lekkerimaki as well. We could kind of dive into that as the video goes on. But what I wanted to do was really focus on what makes Raty such a great prospect, the story that he has had as a whole, and just where we can go from here as fans of the Vancouver Canucks looking for things out of their prospects. Raty, as we have said, was a 2021 draftee, 52nd overall in the second round, 20 years old, 6'2", 187 as a left-handed center, born in November of 2002. The reason Raty was so highly touted in the 2021 draft was because back when this guy was 16 years old, in 2019-20 for example, he was an absolute beast playing for Kärpät in the U20 SM Liga. In 2018-19, he had 31 points in 41 games played and 17 goals in the process. The season after that, he also had a pretty good year, 21 points in 30 games played. Sure, the goal production was really slowed down, but a lot of people were super familiar with Raty because of the body of work he had with Kärpät's U20 team, and as a guy who was only 16 at the time, posting up that 17-goal year in 41 games played, it was seen as a very above and beyond exceptional prospect profile to have going into the 2021 draft. Raty was making waves as one of the better players in the Junior 20 League despite being so young, but the problems with his development came in his draft-eligible year. There, he had 6 points in 35 Liga games with the Kärpät, a significant drop-off from what he had accomplished as a 17-year-old. And you also had the fact that Raty was cut from the World Junior team for Team Finland despite making the team the prior year. He was able to make the team, but he just didn't, and there was a whole bunch of controversy going around why they didn't include him, what was the reason. There was a lot of speculation with his confidence level, what Hockey Finland was trying to do by keeping him off the team, and overall, it was just a disaster draft-eligible season. And he went 52nd overall because of it, despite being ranked to go as highly as... what's the highest ranking on here? 12th overall by McKeon's, 17th by Future Considerations and ISS. This player was, for all intents and purposes, a first-round caliber talent that was taken in the second round. And the year after, he showed off immediately, hey, he probably should have been a first-round guy, because in his 41-game campaign with the Jukurit in the Finnish Liga, he had 40 points. He was a point-per-game guy as a teenager in the Liga. This is a guy that should have gone a lot higher than number 52. And the season after, this is the season we're in right now, he had 15 points in 27 games played for the Bridgeport Islanders. He's got 1 assist so far in 6 games with the Abbotsford Canucks. And sure, that's not an amazing stat line for a guy just making his debut and who is supposed to be the quote-unquote best prospect in the system, but you gotta remember there is a little bit of an adjustment that has to be made here. The guy's going from one team to another in the AHL, for crying out loud. And the Canucks really do have to open up an opportunity for this guy to give him a chance to shine, just in general. But what I also wanted to do in this video was head over onto dailyhive.com and look at this article from earlier this week by Daniel G. Now, Daniel does some incredible work on Twitter. He's a very fantastic follow, Daniel G Scouting. He does a lot of work for Canucks prospects. He writes for Daily Hive, of course, and he is just such a good mind when it comes to picking out things in hockey clips that make plays effective. He published this article, What to Expect from New Canucks Prospect Aatu Raty, and I want you to do me a favor and click the link in the description to go ahead and read this yourself, because there's a lot of video clips included in the piece. Daniel goes out there and asks the question, why is Raty such a dangerous shooter? His shooting is going to be the first tool you hear about from most prospect analysts, and it's for good reason too. The Oulu-born forward fully leverages his 6'2 frame to push ridiculous power through his release. Raty's chest and upper body are always placed over the puck, relying more on his upper body strength, allowing him to rip pucks from a distance at the cost of execution speed. Because of this, he has adapted his game to find more open ice. Going through his tape for 2022-2023, it's clear that Raty pushes a significant amount of inside habits, meaning he likes to move the pucks off the wall into the middle of the ice. In general, this is always seen as a positive because most scoring chances occur in the slot. He heavily relies on his teammates to drive back defenders to allow more runway to execute his release. By virtue of this, Raty is a much more dangerous shooting threat when he is off puck and his teammates do the heavy lifting in transition. This allows Finn to set up his arms to shoot proactively and shift into weak side options in open passing lanes. This essentially means that the World Junior Silver medalist almost always has to be cognizant of creating space for his shot. When he doesn't do this, he is an easy target to be checked. There's an additional analysis done on Raty's playmaking. Long story short, he is pretty good at this, manipulating goaltenders and doing some great give-and-go plays. However, he probably does need to improve his foot speed to create even more offensive potential within his playmaking. There also is an analysis done on his defensive side, and he impacts the ice defensively on a consistent basis, mostly due to anticipation. And finally, Daniel goes out there and asks the question, what should we expect of him in the future? The caveat that looms over Raty's game is his skating inefficiencies. It's a very underdeveloped tool when compared to the rest of his game. The issues start to pile up when put under a microscope. Wide recoveries lead to shorter push-offs, uncontrolled heel kicks from an extreme toe flick as he tries to leverage much push-off power as possible, and bouncing shoulders in the crossovers just kill any acceleration value. Improving his skating would go a long way to expanding his game, allowing him to leverage his handling and passing to an even greater level to create more advantages. Unfortunately, a lot of these habits can be very ingrained for players, and the drastic stride improvements like Bo Horvat's are more of an exception rather than the norm. Regardless, any improvement is worthwhile during the long run, even if it means eliminating just 1 or 2 inefficiencies. And so, even though this is a guy that I really do believe in, that does have, in my opinion, #1 center potential, it's going to depend on his skating. It's going to depend on whether or not he's able to keep up and expand his offensive potential by really working on his skating mechanics that make him a lot more fluid in the offensive zone. Right now, he's being held back by his mobility, but at the end of the day, he is only 20 years old. I do like how the article says that Bo Horvat is the exception and not the norm, because we've seen so many guys in the past few years that have really not shown off all too well because of mobility. We just gotta hope that Aatu Raty really fulfills the potential that he had when he was 16, when he was projected to being the first overall pick because of the skills that he had. He is such a good shooter, playmaker, and defensive driver that you really hate to see a talent like this go to waste. And it's quite apparent that many Islanders fans felt the same way, because every time Aatu Raty was brought up in conversations, every time he was posted, there was a highlight of him or whatever, his numbers were brought up, everybody was saying in Islanders town, hey, this is our best prospect. This is the guy that we want to succeed the most, and he is the guy with the highest ceiling out of everybody in our system. And unfortunately, he's gone now. He's in Vancouver, where in my opinion he has had somewhat of a higher ceiling than Lekkerimaki, just based off of what they've shown off so far. But where Raty goes from here is going to depend on his mobility, but I do think that if he's able to fix that out, he has a super sky-high ceiling that I think many people in the NHL should fear as he becomes better. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Again, the link is going to be in the description if you want to go ahead and read Daniel's article. There are a lot of video clips included in the article, just examining what it is that Daniel's talking about. He does a fantastic job at showcasing that. So give that article a read. I hope you enjoyed this video as well. So that is Trolls 99, and bye.